I've lived most of my life in London, and I'm very fortunate indeed, having benefited from all of the post-war Labour government's innovations, the National Health Service. I only ever knew a council home. My parents were very brave. My mother was a refugee from Jersey. My dad was a post office worker, and although my father wasn't an activist, the best advice he ever gave me when I was struggling in my workplace for equal pay was join a union. When I was growing up, the first real tough knock was aged 11, where my generation were required to do an exam called the 11+. Failure of the 11+ shepherded lots of people, including myself, into dead-end jobs. I bumbled around in different jobs and finally landed a job in publishing. I was able to move from publishing into the graphics industry, and I joined the union then called the National Graphical Association. Very quickly became an activist. I was already very politically active in anti-racist work and internationalism. As an NGA activist, we saw through some major disputes. We supported the miners, and as women, we supported women against pit closures, collecting food, arranging hospitality for visiting women into London, etc. Being TUC president during the second year of the pandemic has been especially challenging because I had very much wanted to reach out and to join workers in struggle, workers taking action to defend their livelihoods, but of course it's been very different. Much of what we've done has been using online platforms, Zoom and Microsoft Teams, things that we'd never heard of a couple of years ago really. So the challenge has been to try and retain a sense of solidarity, a sense of community. I get to boss around the TUC executive, which is very enjoyable, as well as the General Council, because I chair those meetings. I haven't been able to chair every meeting during my term of office because unfortunately this year of presidency has coincided with a pretty grim personal health issue. No sooner had I just got loads of bouquets in celebration of becoming an elected president of the TUC, I was diagnosed with bladder cancer. So I then was inundated with bouquets of commiseration. Over the period of September, November 2020 until now, I've been treated by the most spectacular, wonderful, professional, compassionate and frankly funny and politically dedicated NHS team of workers, the best you could hope for. When I think about young people in insecure employment, what strikes me is how lonely that must be, because they don't know when they're going to work, and yet there are thousands of people in the same position, thousands of young workers, equally lonely, equally dependent on somebody to give them a shift, who can't afford to live independently and thrive. So my message to those workers, those young workers, is you're not alone. You're not alone. There are other people around you in exactly the same circumstances. And if you can reach out and talk to one another, join a trade union. The minute a young insecure worker joins a trade union, they're no longer alone. There's a wealth of experience and support there ready for them. You may lay low for a while, build up a base, and then tackle some of the unfairnesses. We do have employment law protection in this country, but it's just not good enough. And nobody has won anything just using the law alone. Collectivism is what wins for workers.